During college, I lived at home since one of the top engineering schools was just 10 minutes away. In return for helping women in my neighborhood with their homework, taking their tests, or tutoring them for community college, I got some tutoring of my own. Between 18 and 21, I was pretty content, and more than half of the women I helped seemed happy with me too. I learned a lot because I quickly built a rep for being patient, smart, and discreet. I could break things down so they understood, and I was always kind. I never spilled the beans about what went on between us, though I'm sure they talked about it. There was only one who ever made it public: Jezebel. She went by her street name, not her real one. Jezebel was my age, tall and athletic. She wasn't fat, but had a few extra pounds on me. She played softball and basketball in leagues and was more ambitious than most in our neighborhood. She wasn't a scholar, but she had goals. She wanted to own a studio or a website, so I tutored her in math and business. I liked her, but never got too attached. I'd do anything for her, though. In my senior year, I created a sophisticated proximity detector. Think of it like Easy Pass, but for secure systems. My detectors were adopted by corporations, government agencies, and even the military. I made good money from patents and started 2 companies to sell products and research new ones. Since I wasn't into managing people, I set up shell companies to run everything. I owned it all in the end, but no one knew that. I never used my companies to dodge taxes, though. They were set up offshore to make it harder to trace me. Only the CEOs and CFOs of my companies knew I was the real boss. By 24, I had everything in place, but was still struggling with social anxiety. At 26, I found Allison on a dating site. She was probably the most beautiful woman who'd ever shown interest in me. Our relationship was normal, but looking back, I realized it was kind of shallow. I was so hooked on her looks that I overlooked important things. One thing I noticed was how uninterested she was in my work. She'd zone out when I brought it up, acting like she didn't care at all. But that ended up being useful for the prenup. Gail, one of my lawyers, told me I needed a prenup. When I hesitated, she threatened to quit if I didn't give Allison one. It was simple. Anything I owned more than 10% of, before or during the marriage, was off limits. Allison had her dad review it and signed it without asking me anything. 2.5 years into the marriage, with a beautiful daughter named Amber, I ran into Jezebel while on a solo trip to see my parents. I suggested buying them a new house, but they turned it down. They were happy where they were. Jezebel looked great. She hadn't gained weight and was dressed better than ever. We had coffee, and she told me about a website she was working on. I shared my usual story about being hired. She was struggling with her finances and needed $25,000 to make her project happen. I told her to meet me next week at the same place, and I could introduce her to an investor. She was pumped about it, and as I was leaving, she gave me a big hug and kissed my cheek. I thought about it for a week. $25,000 wasn't much to me, and even though her business seemed sketchy, I still had a thing for her. A week after our first meetup, Jezebel and I met again. She looked even better this time. Before the coffee even arrived, I slid her an envelope with $25,000 in cash. She was shocked, actually cried, which I didn't expect from someone so tough. She offered me a share in her site, but I turned it down. "Just a gift," I said. "I don't need any part of it." She smiled, wiping her tears, but then offered something else. "You sure? You're a good guy. I'd do anything for you." I gave her a firm, "No, I'm good. I love my wife." She wiped her eyes and said, "Your wife's lucky. If you need anything, hit me up. I got you." "Good luck," I said, giving her a big hug. After that, Allison and I had 2 more kids, a second girl, Whitney. No, I didn't name her after Jezebel. And then a boy, Jerry. Allison was great, but over time I realized she was more materialistic than I thought. Still, I loved her. She was the only woman I'd ever truly loved, and she gave me 3 amazing kids. Amber, 12, looked just like her mom, but had my smarts. She was outgoing, though, way more than me. Whitney, 10, was also pretty, but she had my traits, not Allison's. Still, she was the sweetest, most caring kid I knew. She could light up a room. Then there's Jerry, 8, a total fun-loving kid, always in a good mood and a natural athlete. He loved sports, and I got into baseball and basketball just to talk to him about it. He got along with everyone, and his sisters loved him too. You'd think with such great kids, Allison would be the perfect mom, but that wasn't the case. She and Amber never clicked. Allison was too hard on her, even cruel sometimes. I had some big arguments with Allison right in front of Amber. By the time Amber turned 12, she wouldn't go anywhere with her mom, unless I came too. It got worse one summer when Allison wanted to take the kids to the lake house and I had work. It took all I had to convince Amber to go. I also had to sit down with Allison and make sure she'd treat Amber right while they were there. Allison was better with Whitney and Jerry, but she had her moments with them too. Even though Allison was a stay-at-home mom, I spent just as much time with the kids as she did, if not more, and our time together was usually better quality. So, after 15 years of marriage, with 3 amazing kids, I was coming back from a business trip. It was about 1 p.m. I had told Allison my schedule, but as usual, she didn't pay attention. I wasn't sure if she'd be home to meet me or not. As I was about to turn onto my street, I saw a car I recognized, Roger Mayberry's red Corvette. Roger was one of the top sales guys at one of my companies, dealing mostly with military contracts. He knew our tech inside and out, even though he wasn't an engineer. He had top-level clearance and was super easy to get along with. I wondered what Roger was doing here at this time of day, but didn't think much of it. The street I live on is a through street, so maybe he was just passing by. But then I realized he could have been at my house. After a minute, I pulled into the driveway. I didn't see Allison downstairs, so I headed up the spiral staircase she insisted on when we built the house. My footsteps echoed on the marble floors as I approached the master bedroom. When I was about 10 feet from the door, I heard that voice again. "Did you forget something, Raj?" I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart thundering in my chest. That voice, so damn smooth, like honey dripping from a blade. I pushed the door open and walked in. There she was, standing there, pretending like everything was fine. But when she saw me, the smile vanished faster than a ghost in the dark. She looked at me, and in that split second, I knew everything. "Oh, Brian, damn, I'm so sorry." "Sorry?" The word hit me like a slap, a damn slap. My chest tightened, and I could feel the rage building, hot and suffocating. My fists clenched so tight I thought my nails might dig into my palms. But I couldn't let her see me break, not now. "Sorry, that's your big apology, Allison? After everything, all this time, and you think sorry is gonna fix it?" "Brian, just let me explain." "Explain." "Oh, I don't need your damn explanation, all right? I've seen enough. I've been a freaking idiot believing your lies. How long, huh? How long have you been screwing around behind my back?" She took a step back, like she was trying to get some space from me, but I didn't let up. I wasn't giving her any room. "Not now. It's not what you think. Don't give me that bullshit, Allison. Don't even try to play me for a fool now. I know everything. I know you've been screwing him, laughing behind my back, probably the whole damn time. What, you thought I was too stupid to figure it out? I didn't mean for it to happen like this." "Oh, spare me. You didn't mean for it? But you just tripped and fell into his bed. You don't get to play the innocent sufferer here. You've been lying to me, making me think I was enough for you, and all the while you were out there screwing around like it didn't even matter." "I didn't want to hurt you. You think this is about hurting me? You've already done that. This is about you being a selfish, manipulative piece of crap. You used me, Allison. I gave you everything I had, and you turned it into a damn joke. I trusted you. I never asked for your damn trust, Brian. You think I need your pity? Your damn charity?" The words hit me like a punch. "Pity? You think I pity you? You think you deserve my damn pity? No. What you deserve is to watch this burn, to watch everything we built go up in flames because you couldn't keep your legs closed." She flinched, her face a mix of anger and frustration. "You don't get it. I didn't want it to be like this." "Oh, I get it, all right. I get that. You're a freaking liar. And I'm done. Done with you, done with your games, done with the bullshit. I'm not the bad guy here, Brian. You're the only damn villain in this story." I was practically spitting now. "I don't owe you damn, and I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you twist this into some pathetic excuse. You made your choice, and now you can live with it." She glared at me, her voice shaky but defiant. "You're not even worth the fight anymore. And get the hell out of my sight." I took a step forward, my chest tight with rage. "Go back to your little lover. I'm done. And don't think for a second you can crawl back into my life. It's over. For good." A heavy, dark sadness hit me hard. I stumbled back a few steps, then blacked out. The next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital bed. A nurse came rushing in seconds after I opened my eyes, followed by a doctor a minute later. "How you feeling, Mr. Banks?" a friendly, middle-aged nurse named Nancy asked. "My head feels like it's in a vice," I groaned. "We're glad you woke up so quick," she said, taking my wrist and checking the monitor beside me. "Why am I in the hospital? How did I get here?" I asked, just as the doctor walked in. Mr. Banks? The doctor, a pleasant woman of Indian descent, looked me over. Let me check your eyes first, and I'll explain. Nancy still had my wrist, and Dr. Petra pulled out a light, gently moving my eyelids and skin around my eyes for a couple minutes. When she finished, they both smiled. Dr. Petra said, You've got a concussion. Your wife said you tripped in your bedroom, fell onto the marble floor, and hit your head on a rock. You're lucky. Your vitals are good, and the concussion might not be as serious as we feared. Just hearing that made the sadness hit me again. I remembered what caused me to fall. My eyes widened, and I groaned loud. I felt nausea hit me, and before I knew it, Nancy had a container under my chin. Even though I hadn't eaten since breakfast, I threw up bile. Once my stomach was empty, I lay back, and Nancy put a cold compress on my head while Dr. Petra checked me again. Afterward, Dr. Petra said, That vomiting's a surprise. It could mean the concussion's worse, but there are no other signs. Could it be the emotional shock that caused me to throw up? I asked, already knowing the answer. Yeah, that's possible, Dr. Petra said, thinking for a second. Did you have an emotional shock? Yeah, I replied, sighing. I didn't freak out when I found out my wife was cheating on me. I snorted. I was proud I didn't drop any curse words. The nurses looked shocked. By the way, I added, keeping my tone flat, where's my wife? She was here, but she went to pick up the kids from school, Nancy answered, finally starting to regain her calm. I glanced at my watch. 3:28. She was probably picking them up now. Have you eaten today? Dr. Petra asked, looking concerned. No, not since 8 this morning, I replied. Since your throwing up seems emotional and not from the concussion, I think you should eat something before your wife comes back with the kids, she advised. You don't think I'm going to throw up again when I see her, do you? I asked. No, I don't think so, Dr. Petra said, unless it's something light. Nurse Jenkins, can you get some oatmeal with cinnamon and raisins? No brown sugar? I turned to Nancy and smiled as best I could. 5 minutes later, the oatmeal arrived. I ate it fast, and by the time Nancy came back, I felt a bit better. She said, You've got company. My 3 kids rushed in, each trying to be first to get to me. Don't touch Daddy's head or neck, I joked, pulling all 3 of them into my arms. They started talking all at once, excited. Even though I didn't feel great, I had to chuckle. A full laugh would have hurt, but a giggle was okay. I barely noticed Allison, who was standing in the doorway, watching. Amber had clearly been crying, but now that she saw I wasn't dying, she cheered up. The other 2 were all smiles. Allison stood there looking confused as I played with the kids. I avoided talking about my injury, focusing on asking them what they'd been doing while I was out of town and what they had planned for the day. Allison tried to join in with a couple of comments, but I ignored her and wouldn't make eye contact. After about 15 minutes, I saw Nancy talking to Allison. A minute later, Allison said, All right, kids, Daddy's still not feeling well. We need to let him rest. Kiss his hands goodbye, and we'll visit again tomorrow. They kissed my hands and waved as they left. Amber seemed better, and Jerry was fine, but when I saw Whitney, she started crying and turned her face away, trying to hide it. As the kids left, Allison called out, Meet Mom in the elevator lobby. I need to talk to Daddy for a minute. Allison walked over to me, and I didn't have time to think about how to react. I couldn't do what I'd imagined earlier, so I just closed my eyes and listened. Brian, I'm so sorry you had to see me like this, she started. I didn't want you to find out. I'm sorry for not being the wife you deserve. I really hope we can talk when you're feeling better. There was some moaning and sniffling, but no real tears. I didn't say anything. After a pause, she added, Maybe we can talk tomorrow. Just call me if you want to. That last line hit me. She clearly wasn't planning to come back to the hospital. If I didn't reach out, she wouldn't bother. About 20 minutes after she left, Dr. Petra came in. She checked me over and said, You don't seem too upset after talking to your wife. I didn't talk to her, I said, brushing it off. Even though I still felt crushed about everything, I was sure I could turn those feelings into action. I wouldn't feel sick anymore. That's good, Dr. Petra smiled. Doc, how long do you think I need to stay here? I'd recommend 1 more night, but if you're fine after that, you can leave. Just take it easy for a week and don't go back to the office for at least 3 or 4 days. I promise, I grinned, reaching for her hand. That is, I promise. As long as you don't tell my wife I'm leaving Friday morning. Of course, she laughed. I can't lie, but I'll tell her you'll probably stay until Saturday if she asks. I appreciate that, I said, feeling a little better. I had a big dinner, called my parents, who hadn't heard from Allison, and called my assistant at home to get a pad and pen. I wasn't in the right state of mind to write things down, but I'd be ready to start planning my next move the next morning. Around 4 p.m. on Thursday, Allison showed up with the kids. Just like I thought, she hadn't come earlier in the day, and I wasn't about to call her. Nancy mentioned that Allison had called once to check on me, though. By the time the kids arrived, I was feeling way better. It wasn't just because I was recovering, but I'd had a really productive day. People from my office had stopped by, my lawyer Gail was working on the prenup, and my parents had lunch with me. But none of that had anything to do with my work. It was all about planning the next chapter of my life. After a fun half hour with the kids, Nancy came in and reminded me to rest. Allison did the same damn thing she always did, trying to play the sweet, innocent act, but this time I wasn't falling for it. I kept my eyes wide open, no more pretending I didn't see through her. She stepped in, that sugary voice of hers slipping through the air like venom. "Honey, you never called today for me to come over and discuss our situation." I didn't even blink. "Oh, really? You finally want to talk now, huh? Guess I wasn't even worth a text to see if I was breathing, huh? You didn't give a damn if I was dead or alive till I hit you up, huh?" She acted like she didn't hear the sarcasm, playing it cool, but I could see the guilt flicker in her eyes for half a second. "That's not fair, honey. I didn't want to bother you if you didn't want to talk," I scoffed, shaking my head like she was stupid if she thought I believed that. Bother me? Are you kidding me? You don't get to play the "I didn't want to bother you" card now. You've been playing this game for way too long, and now you want to act all innocent? Nah, not buying it. Her voice softened, but I could see the fake sweetness in it. "Brian, again, I'm really sorry. I really hope we can get through this." "Get through this? You mean me getting over your bullshit? You expect me to just forget everything? Nah, that ain't happening. You've been lying to me, playing me for a fool, and now you want to talk about getting through it? It doesn't work like that." She took my hand, kissed it like I was some damn prince or something. Like that would fix anything. I pulled my hand back like it was on fire. No reaction, no emotion. "Don't touch me, Allison. Don't even think about it." She looked at me like she was expecting some response, but I gave her nothing. She kissed my hand like she thought it would make it all better, like I would just melt into her arms. But I wasn't having it. I wasn't falling for her damn act anymore. "Bye," she said, voice quiet, almost pleading. She waved me off like I was some stranger. I didn't miss the fact that she never said she loved me, nor did she plan to end things with Roger Mayberry. The only real emotion I could sense was her grief about getting caught. The final piece of my plan fell into place right after visiting hours ended. Allison's parents came by. I was surprised until they told me why. Allison apparently didn't want to be the one to threaten me with losing the kids if we divorced, so she had her parents do it. "Allison told us about her mistake," her mom said, holding my hand. "Oh, really? What mistake?" I asked, trying to keep calm. Her mom hesitated, then said, "You know she's the reason you had that accident. We hope you can forgive her." "Brian, you're such a good man and father. It would destroy you to not be with your kids every day," Ruth added. "You're right about that," I said, sounding somber. But my mind was already focused on getting sole custody of the kids. After a few more minutes, Allison's parents left. I was certain of what I needed to do, now. The next morning, Dr. Petra checked me again and signed my release papers. "Remember to take it easy for a week," she said. "Scout's honor," I joked, giving a half-hearted salute, making her laugh. I wasn't a Boy Scout, but at least I got a smile. I thanked Nancy and tried to give her $500, but she refused. I gave her a hug and left with my assistant, Jack. By 10 a.m., I could have easily gotten back at Roger Mayberry by firing him, but that wasn't enough. I needed to ruin his career. I wanted him to lose his security clearance so he couldn't get a job anywhere near the pay or status he had. After talking with Gail and the divorce expert she recommended, I got Roger's bank info from payroll. Now all I had to do was meet Jezebel. Why her, you might ask? She'd help me get sole custody. Jack drove me to her office, but I told him to stay in the car. I needed to talk to Jezebel alone. I called ahead, and she was surprised, but happy to see me. "Hold up," I laughed. "I've got a concussion, so I can't hug you the way I'd like. Let's just kiss hands, you fool." She giggled. "You probably only got a concussion, so I couldn't tear you apart," she said. We kissed each other's hands. Awkward, but it worked. Jezebel looked great, stylish, professional, and still stunning, with just a bit of gray in her hair, which softened her features. Come on in, she said, grabbing my hand. Once inside, I got straight to the point. I need your help, Jezebel. Anything, Brian. You have no idea how much I want to help you. Whatever it is, just tell me. If I don't have to eliminate anyone, I'm in, she laughed, flashing a big smile. Her comment made me feel better. Okay, you asked for it, I grinned. I went over everything, explaining how much the kids meant to me and even showing her pictures. When I mentioned that my middle child was named Whitney, she froze. You named her Whitney? She asked, stunned. I knew exactly what she was thinking. A lily? Yeah, named after my favorite person before I got married, I said, smiling wide. She choked up, tears started, and she sobbed. You fool! I've only cried twice in the last 10 years because of you. I squeezed her hand. Hey, tears of joy are fine. I could use some right now. All right, how can I help you make that happen? She asked, wiping her eyes. I need you to post videos of my wife on your website and transfer the money to her account, I said, getting straight to the point. Once she got over the shock, we talked through everything. She had a few solid ideas, and one stood out. You gotta make sure no one traces this back to you, that no one knows we have any history, she said. Is that what you're calling it? An association? I laughed. Shut up, she giggled. Let me handle it. I've got a friend who runs a paid site bigger than mine. No questions asked. Just wire him the money and he'll send it to your wife. She called him right away. In a quick 4-minute phone call, Jezebel got everything sorted. She told me what format the videos needed to be in and how any money I gave her would go to her friend, who'd transfer the same amount to Allison's account. Also, my friend will need your wife's signature on the contract, including permission to film. Can you trick her or forge it right? I can handle that, I replied. I'll email it to you today. Wait till tomorrow, though. I'll set up a new email at the library just for this and send it as soon as she signs. I grinned. Just to be clear, I kissed her on the lips as I left. Thankfully, not long after we got married, Allison insisted the credit card and bank account be in her name only. I hadn't checked them before, but now I would. I knew I could get the numbers from the paperwork she left at home. In the den, I had all the info I needed to get back at Roger and Allison. Bank account numbers, Allison's credit card, plenty of my own cash, and Jezebel's help. Plus, I could always count on my assistant, Jack. He was loyal and would do anything I asked. Let me tell you about Jack. He's my assistant, not a secretary. He's my highest paid employee, other than the CEOs and CFOs. Jack has an engineering background and is good at crunching numbers and fixing my fancy tech designs. He's also down to help however he can. That's why he picked me up from the hospital and waited outside for me. Oh, and about Jezebel. Jack's no small guy. He played Division I soccer and was middle linebacker his senior year. At 6'2" and 245 pounds of muscle, he has trouble finding jackets that fit without tearing the sleeves. Everything about my revenge could have gone wrong, but I had it all planned out. I had to stay optimistic. After Jack dropped me off at my car outside my house, I didn't bother walking in to check if Allison was home. I grabbed a quick lunch and then dialed her number. Hi, honey. She answered way too chipper, like she was putting on an act. I'm so glad you called. Want me to come over to your place? She said, her voice sweet. But I knew better. Caller ID didn't lie. I didn't waste a second with pleasantries. Nah, that won't be necessary, I said, flat and cold. They let me off early, so I'll grab the kids, take them out for milkshakes. We'll be home around 5:30. I heard her pause, trying to process that I wasn't jumping for joy to hear from her. Oh, honey, I should make you a nice homecoming dinner. I was thinking I could... Don't bother, I cut her off, the sarcasm thick in my voice. Just don't ruin their appetite. Her tone shifted a bit, but she was still trying to keep the mask on. Thanks for the parenting advice, she said, all fake sweetness, like she was trying to act like I wasn't calling her out. I'll see you at 5:30. I didn't even give her the satisfaction of her response. Yeah, you will, I shot back, hanging up before she could say anything else. The kids were happy to see me, eager to know how I was doing and what they'd been up to. They got even more excited when I told them we were going to the malt shop for milkshakes, their favorite treat. After we all had our shakes, I decided it was time to talk. Kids, some things are going to change soon. But it's not your fault, I said, trying to keep it casual. Amber, though, saw right through me. Without missing a beat, she said, if you and Mom get divorced, I'll live with you. Are you getting divorced? Whitney asked, her eyes wide. Let's not jump ahead, I said, trying to keep it cool, especially for Whitney, who looked like a scared puppy. Mom and I are having some problems, and I don't know how it'll turn out. But no matter what, we both love you three with all our hearts, and none of this is your fault. Amber hit me hard with her next question. You love us, but does Mom? Jerry jumped in. Mom loves us, don't be too sure. Amber quickly added, trying to keep things calm. Well, she doesn't always act like it. I put my hand on her arm to reassure her. I know, honey. Mom loves you all, even if she doesn't always show it the right way. Let's not be too hard on her. We just need to hope things get better. Whitney quietly sobbed, and Jerry and Amber seemed wiped out. Then Jerry, with his usual honesty, asked, Daddy, will you come to my Little League game tomorrow? It's against the Ravens, and I'm pitching. I wouldn't miss it for the world, buddy. I smiled. What about you girls? Got anything on Saturday? I asked, trying to keep things light. After spending a few hours with the kids, I made sure to keep at least one of them between me and Allison when we got home. I wasn't ready to talk to her yet. When the kids went to bed, I walked to the guest room. Don't you want to talk? Allison called after me. My head's killing me from the concussion. I just need some pain pills and sleep. I don't want to keep you up, I said, swallowing 2 Tylenol and closing the door. I'm ready when you are, Allison said as I shut the door behind me. Saturday and Sunday, I kept avoiding real talks or any closeness with her, focusing on my plan. First thing Saturday, I used Allison's credit card to order 2 small cameras and motion detectors. They'd be delivered Monday. At the library, I printed out the contract Jezebel sent me, then deleted it. I also printed new health and life insurance forms, stacked everything, and marked where Allison had to sign. I knew Allison would be in a good mood this weekend, but it wouldn't last. On Sunday, I handed her the papers, told her they were insurance forms that just needed to be renewed, and that she and the kids were co-beneficiaries. She smiled, obviously thinking I wasn't going to divorce her. A few minutes later, she came back, all smiles. It's all signed, honey, she said, handing them over as I played cards with the kids. Thanks, I said, casually putting the signed papers in my briefcase as I dealt the cards. I also called the CEO of my company, where Roger worked, and had him arrange security clearance checks on 5 of his people. It was routine, but I made sure it looked like it came from the company, not the government. No one was supposed to know their employer initiated the checks. Monday morning after the kids left for school, Allison finally insisted we talk. Brian, we can't just ignore this. If we do, it'll tear us apart, she said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. I almost said, what relationship? But kept it to myself. Instead, I said, my head's still spinning and I need time to process everything. I'm not making any rash decisions. Okay, dear, she said after a pause, looking relieved. I'm going to the country club for a meeting. I'll be back around 2 to pick up the kids. Will you be okay? I wanted to say, I'll find out soon enough, but I kept quiet. Have a good time. I'll be fine, I replied. She was really simplifying things too much. About 30 minutes after she left, a courier showed up with the cameras. I gave Jack a call and he came over. Together, we got to work setting up the cameras, switches, and motion sensors in the master bedroom. In less than an hour, we'd handled all the equipment while wearing latex gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints or DNA. Then, we needed to get the signal routed to Allison's computer. You know, I'm pretty good with computers, but Jack's a straight-up genius, I said. All we need is to figure out her password, and I can hook up the cameras to her system in like 10 minutes. Jack chimed in, still with his gloves on. I've got the best password cracking software on my laptop. I'll just link mine to hers and get this thing rolling. He went ahead and started launching the program. Then he asked, what should we do while it runs? But before I could answer, there was a beep. What's that? I asked. Is something wrong? I added. Nah, it's fine. It's already cracked, Jack laughed. Wait, what? How's that even possible? I asked, totally confused. Well, this program runs a bunch of the most common passwords first. Her password was Princess, which is the 28th most common password. It makes sense, right? I couldn't help but smile. She's never cared about any of the tech stuff I've tried to teach her, so why would she listen to me when I tell her to pick a random password? True to his word, within 10 minutes, Jack had the camera set up to record straight to Allison's computer, saving the footage with some random file name. 5 minutes after that, everything was set up so I could access the file from my office whenever I wanted, and even control the cameras and motion sensors remotely. Tuesday rolled around, and I went to work. Feeling good, I turned on the cameras and motion detectors on my way out the door. I'd arranged for one of my shell companies in the Cayman Islands to wire $10,000 into Roger Mayberry's account. I was in a great mood. Plus, my concussion recovery was going well, so I got down to business. That night, after the kids were asleep, Allison came to talk. "Why don't you come back to bed with me tonight? You must be feeling better if you can work tonight," she said. "I'm feeling better, yeah," I responded. "By Wednesday and Thursday, I'll feel pretty much back to normal." I almost let myself get caught up in the thought that maybe Allison, the woman who'd hurt me so badly, actually had feelings for me. Maybe she'd even leave Mayberry. But of course, I pushed that fantasy aside. I knew deep down that I was still just playing the game, no matter how much I wished things were different. This was confirmed when I checked the video from Thursday afternoon. I uploaded Allison's Thursday morning footage to the website, handed $5,000 in cash to Jezebel, and by Friday evening, that money had been transferred from the site to Allison's account, with the video now available for all paying users to watch. Of course, the site didn't have permission from Mayberry to use the footage, so they had to blur his face out legally. Over the next 2 weeks, 2 more videos were posted to the site. Another $5,000 was wired into Allison's account, and another $10,000 from another Cayman Islands company went into Mayberry's account. Now I had to make sure everything stayed in motion before Mayberry and Allison got their bank statements for the month and started wondering what was going on. The day after the 3rd video was published, Mayberry went through a security check. How it happened, I don't know, but somehow the reviewer had an unpixelated version of one of these videos, plus Mayberry's bank statement. Mayberry was the 3rd person to be interviewed that day, and he probably had no clue that his interview was the one that really mattered. Since the CEO got a copy of the polygraph results and the quanda, I managed to get a transcript of the interview by the end of the day. After hooking Mayberry up to the polygraph and going through the routine questions, the examiner hit him with a serious one. "Mr. Mayberry, do you have any activities outside of work that could potentially be used against you for blackmail?" "No, I don't think so," Mayberry responded, his answer triggering a sharp twitch on the lie detector. The reviewer wasn't done. "I'd like to show you something, Mr. Mayberry," he said, tapping a few buttons on his tablet. "Do you recognize the woman in this video from 2 weeks ago Thursday?" It was like Mayberry's face drained of color as he weighed his options, whether to lie or tell the truth, and which one would screw him over less. In the end, he caved. "Allison Banks," he muttered. "Isn't she married to one of your co-workers, Brian Banks?" the examiner pressed. "Well, no. Brian works for a different company, though our offices are in the same building." "It's a big place," Mayberry stammered. "Did you ever think that hooking up with a married co-worker might open you up to blackmail?" "I didn't think about it," Roger mumbled, looking completely rattled. "Have you received any transfers from foreign companies since your last security check?" "Absolutely not," Roger snapped, offended. The reviewer wasn't letting up. "So, what about these deposits from 2 different companies in the Cayman Islands? What's going on there?" There was a long pause. Mayberry's voice shook as he replied, "I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. It must be some kind of mistake." "A mistake by 2 different companies in the Cayman Islands, whose owners we can't track down?" the reviewer asked, his tone almost mocking. "Yeah, someone's setting me up," Mayberry whined, clearly frustrated beyond belief. The examiner pressed on. "Did someone fake the video of you and Mrs. Banks, too?" His tone was dripping with sarcasm, even though he had to remain professional. After a few more questions, the interview wrapped up. When the examiner unplugged the lie detector electrodes, he looked at Mayberry and said, "Listen, Mr. Mayberry, until we tell you otherwise, you're not to be anywhere near anyone dealing with sensitive or confidential info. That includes Mr. and Mrs. Banks and those 2 companies that sent money to your account. If you don't follow this, you're going to be held responsible." The next morning, I got the kids ready for school. Allison sat there, staring me down, but not a word came out of her mouth. Her eyes were cold, like she was already planning her next move. The second the kids were out the door, I picked up my phone and made the call. 30 seconds later, the doorbell rang. I couldn't help myself. "It's for you, Ho!" I yelled from the kitchen, the words practically spitting out. Allison's eyes shot daggers at me, but she didn't say anything at first. "How dare you talk to me like that, a-hole?" she muttered, low and under her breath, trying to act all tough. I couldn't hold back the laugh. I walked closer, my voice dripping with mockery. "I won't be that long, witch. I shot back, grinning wide. She opened the door, and the bailiff handed her the divorce papers, no hesitation. "Mrs. Allison Banks," he said, like he was delivering a death sentence. She froze for a second, then looked at the papers like she had no clue what was happening. "You've received a summons," the bailiff continued, and she snatched the papers from him, confused as hell. But the real hit came when she saw the pictures. Her, with him, and a damn pay site address with a password to access it. I was already standing behind her. "You didn't think I'd find out you were selling your videos, huh, you nasty witch?" I barked, feeling the satisfaction of finally calling her out. She stood there, staring at the pictures like she couldn't believe it. But I was done holding back. "You're out here getting your back blown out on camera and calling it a job? You really thought you could hide that crap from me?" I shoved the website paper in her face. "Here, take a look at what you look like on that site, because I'm sure you haven't bothered." Her face went pale, and I could see her trying to fight back tears, but she wasn't getting a damn ounce of sympathy from me. "Not only did you screw around behind my back, you're out here broadcasting it and making money off it like it's some damn hobby," I growled, voice thick with disgust. She stammered, voice shaking like she was about to break. I don't know what you're talking about, Brian." I slammed my hand on the table. "Don't play stupid with me, Allison. I have everything. I saw it all." I was practically spitting. "I'm taking the kids this weekend. Don't even think about calling. You better get the best lawyer you can, because you'll need it." I stood up, looking down at her one last time. "I hope whatever cash you're pulling in from your little online show helps, because you're going to need every penny to save your A in court." I turned and walked toward the door, but before I left, I shot her one last look. "You think I'm done? You don't even know what's coming next." That same day, Mayberry was fired, escorted out, and had his security clearance stripped. About an hour before I was supposed to pick up the kids, my secretary buzzed me. "Brian, it's reported that Roger Mayberry is drunk, yelling your name in the parking lot. Should I call the cops?" I laughed. "No, Sherry. Call Jack and have him get here now." It was too perfect. When Jack showed up, we headed to the window that looked over the parking lot. The view was great for watching the security cameras. Mayberry was swaying back and forth, definitely drunk. We quickly came up with a plan. Jack slipped out a side door, staying out of the camera's view, while I walked straight out the front door. As soon as Mayberry saw me, his face turned red with rage, and he didn't waste a second. "You goddamn a-hole, Banks!" he yelled, storming towards me. "You're the reason I got fired and screwed up my security clearance. You think you can just screw me over and walk away like nothing happened? I'm gonna kick your A right here, right now." I stood my ground, looking at him with a smirk, no fear in my eyes. "Is that so, Mayberry?" I shot back, raising an eyebrow. "You think you can come at me like that? What, you think I give a damn about your job or your clearance? You were too damn dumb to hold it together, and now you want to blame me for your own mess? You're a joke." He took a step closer, fists clenching. "You don't know who you're dealing with, Banks. I'll rip you apart, you cocky little fool." I shook my head and laughed. "Keep talking, man. You look like you need a punching bag to work out your issues. Maybe I'll be doing you a favor, but trust me, you're the one who's going to end up on the ground." Mayberry didn't wait any longer. He lunged at me, swinging wildly, but I was ready. I trotted forward instead of running, positioning myself in front of the camera's view, right next to Jack, who was just watching, waiting for the right moment. I let Mayberry get close enough to land a weak blow on my shoulder, just a glancing hit, but I made sure to sell it. I dropped like a sack of bricks, screaming like he'd hit me with a sledgehammer, the impact loud and dramatic. I groaned, hitting the ground hard, making it look real. "Crap, that hurt," I muttered under my breath, keeping my voice loud enough for the cameras. Mayberry stood over me, ready to follow up with another punch. His grin was wide, like he'd just won, but he didn't see Jack coming. Out of nowhere, Jack charged in, punching Mayberry in the jaw with his forearm like a linebacker taking out a receiver. Mayberry flew back like a rag doll, crashing hard into the ground, knocked unconscious in an instant. I stayed on the ground, playing it up like I was groggy. Jack came over, helping me up as I leaned against the car, barely able to keep my balance. He didn't say a word, just pulled out his phone and called emergency while I pretended to be dazed and confused, making sure I was selling the whole act. The sirens started in the distance, and I knew the cops would be here in minutes. Mayberry? He was out cold, looking like the damn fool he was. Mayberry was handcuffed to the stretcher the fire department used to take him, with a cop riding along in the ambulance to the hospital. I filled out the paperwork to file an attack charge, then grabbed the kids and headed to a mountain resort for the weekend. By the end of the weekend, I told the kids Allison and I were getting a divorce. Amber seemed relieved, while the other two took it pretty well, especially after I reassured them we'd both always loved them. When we got home Sunday night, Allison wasn't as nasty as I expected. I'd prepared for the worst by moving my most valuable stuff into a storage unit, but I had no plans to leave the house. "I know you set up that damn video shoot, Brian," she hissed, her voice low but full of venom. "I don't know how you pulled it off, but you're covering your tracks like a damn pro." "No apology?" I shot back, my voice dripping with disdain, stepping forward like I was daring her to back down. "Not even a sorry I screwed up?" "No." Her tone was ice cold. "It was a mistake." I smirked, taking a step closer, pushing her into the corner with my words. "Right, a mistake. So you won't even say, 'Please forgive me'? Huh? Not even a hint of remorse?" She clenched her jaw. "Just accusing me of something I didn't do, Brian," she snapped, her voice trying to be calm, but I could hear the rage simmering underneath. "I don't know what kind of sick game you're playing, but it's not going to work on me." I leaned in, my face inches from hers, making sure she could feel every ounce of my irritation. "Look, you screwed up, Allison. No one is buying your 'I didn't do it' routine anymore, and you won't even apologize? Pathetic." She breathed heavily, clearly trying to hold it together. "I've been busy, okay? Hired a lawyer, hired a damn computer expert. I don't know how you pulled this crap off, but you've covered your tracks. It's going to be a fight I don't want, but I'll be damned if I let you drag me through the mud with this unfit mother crap. But, I guess we can talk about custody, if you're ready to play fair for once." "Oh, I'm playing fair, Allison," I growled, my voice turning sharp, every word punctuated with anger. "You give me sole custody and the house so the kids don't have to pack up and leave. Then I'll throw you a bone. You can visit them. Hell, I'll even buy you a house. You and Mayberry can go mess up your lives in some other place." "But that's the deal," she scoffed, shaking her head like she was so above all of this. "Did you hear? Roger's not just out of a job, he's out of a damn career." I let out a dark laugh. "Roger's irrelevant. I don't give a damn if he's flipping burgers at this point. I'm not living under the same roof as that clown." "That's not the point," she shot back, trying to regain control of the situation, but I wasn't having it. "I don't want to hear it, Allison," I cut her off, voice slicing through her words like a knife. I wasn't going to listen to any more of her excuses. "You can screw whoever you want, do whatever you like. I couldn't care less. But just take the damn suggestion and don't waste my time." She stood there for a second, face red, wiping away a few damn tears like she was trying to act like the sufferer. I wasn't falling for it, though. She wasn't about to guilt trip me. She swallowed the tears, then spoke again, voice laced with anger and hurt. "Look, I know you think I'm a crappy mom. Fine. But I'm not. I love my kids with everything I've got. And the idea of not being with them every damn day, it's destroying me. I'm not going to let you drag me through a courtroom battle where you slander me and twist every word I say. I don't have the energy for that, and I'm sure as hell not letting our kids see that video or hear what you're trying to make them believe about me." I nodded, the edge of my voice softer, but the threat's still there. "I agree with that. We don't want the kids knowing the dirty details." I leaned in, my voice cold and calculating. "So, what do you suggest?" Her eyes narrowed, her lips tight. "My lawyer says mediation. He thinks we should get a former family court judge to handle it. I'll agree to sole or joint custody, and you can do the same. We'll let the mediator look at everything, and the kids' wishes, all of it, and whatever they decide, we'll go with it. That way it's clean, fast, and we can keep everything out of the public eye." I stared at her for a moment, almost impressed by how she was managing to sound somewhat reasonable despite all the crap she'd pulled. She'd probably spent hours talking to Roger, scheming up ways to spin it in her favor. I leaned back, arms crossed, voice hard. "Let's meet with our lawyers early next week. But I'm going to make one thing crystal clear. No joint custody, ever. I'm not putting those kids through that bullshit. I want sole custody, period. If the mediator orders it, fine. But don't come at me with some joint custody nonsense. I won't stand for it." She didn't hesitate, but I could tell she hated it. "I'll agree. If it's the mediator's decision." I leaned forward again, voice deadly serious. "And you can forget about taking the master bedroom while I sleep in the guest room. Not happening." I didn't explain myself. She knew exactly what I meant. No way in hell was I sleeping anywhere near where Mayberry was probably trying to entertain her. I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. On Tuesday, we had a joint meeting with our lawyers. We both told them to just handle it, no haggling. The agreement we worked out was simple. 50/50th split of everything, except what was excluded in the prenup, 90% of our wealth. We agreed on child support amounts depending on who got custody, and a few other details. It took all day, but we got it done. The next day, the mediator agreed to take the case and set a fee to be split from our joint assets. We also set a briefing date and hearing date for a few weeks later. I didn't make Allison put it in the contract, but we agreed privately that neither of us would bring anyone new into the house while we both lived there, and whoever had to leave after the custody decision would move out within 2 weeks. I also had my lawyer threaten the pay site with a lawsuit if they didn't take down Allison's video and refund the money. One call to Jezebel took care of that. During the waiting period, Allison and I were polite. I never tried to influence the kids, and neither did she, as far as I knew. We didn't make any rude or sarcastic remarks, even in private. On the day of the hearing, I was nervous. Even though I thought I had the upper hand, I really wanted sole custody and felt anxious about it. The hearing went well at first, but the mediator said a few things that made my stomach drop. He seemed to be leaning toward joint custody. Before he started interviewing the kids, he gave us a heads up. "I see you've agreed to watch my interviews with the children on closed-circuit TV," the mediator said. "I can't agree to that," I said. "I didn't realize earlier, but it'll destroy the trust I need with the kids. If you can't agree to me meeting them alone, I'll have to recommend another mediator." My lawyer advised me to agree, especially since Amber wasn't too fond of Allison, and the mediator would likely listen to the kids more than any other mediator would. Amber was close to being old enough to make her own choices under state law, so I had to trust the process. Afterward, we met with our lawyers and agreed to the mediator's terms. We also agreed not to question the kids about what they'd said in their interviews. At dinner that night, Allison made a few comments that seemed to hint she wanted joint custody. I just gave her a stern look and didn't respond. Amber caught my gaze and gave me a sly smile. The next day, the mediator interviewed the kids. Jerry's was quick, only about 20 minutes, but Amber's took over an hour. As she walked out, she made sure Allison and her lawyer weren't looking and gave me a thumbs up. Later, Allison's parents took the kids out for lunch, and the mediator was ready to make his decision. We weren't expecting this. He was supposed to take another week to decide, but he made his call then, skipping the closing arguments. After reviewing everything, I award sole custody of all 3 children to Brian Banks. I also find that the agreement made by both parties is fair and in the best interest of the children. The case will be settled on those terms Monday. I'll provide a certified copy of the judgment for family court, the mediator said. Allison and I both cried for different reasons. The ride home was quiet. I didn't gloat, and she was clearly upset. It was a sad moment, the end of our family, but I knew it was necessary, and it went the best it could for me. That night, Allison wasn't home when we told the kids. I did most of the talking. Jerry and Whitney were sad, but hugged Allison. Amber gave her a more formal hug. I kept it positive, telling them about the visitation schedule. I bought Allison a new house less than a week after the hearing, and she moved in within the 2 weeks we agreed on. The kids, her parents, my brother, and I helped her out. We also hired movers for the bigger stuff, like the bed from our bedroom. A few months later, when the divorce was finalized, I threw a party at the house to thank everyone who helped, along with close friends and family. I didn't tell the kids what the party was for, just said it was a general celebration. Amber, now 13, figured it out. Just before the guests arrived, while I was getting things ready, Amber came in and closed the door behind her. She made me sit down and then climbed into my lap. "Daddy, how glad are you that the custody worked out?" she asked. Tough question, even for her. "I'm happy, Amber." "Why do you ask?" I replied. She smiled wide. "I knew it would work out. When I talked to the mediator, I told him I saw Mom and that Mayberry guy doing it in our house when I came home sick. It messed me up." "You saw them?" I asked, stunned. "What difference does it make? She was cheating. I wouldn't have gone with her if she'd gotten custody. I knew it was better for Jerry and Whitney to stay with us. Just thought you might want to know," she finished, grinning. She kissed my cheek, jumped off my lap, and walked out. I decided not to push it further. What kept me busy during the celebration was Jezebel. Jezebel came to the party and immediately connected with the kids. She played Trap and Pepper with Jerry for about 30 minutes. She was way better at it than I was. She spent an hour talking and laughing with Whitney. I'm not sure what they discussed, but they seemed to get along well. Amber was a bit reserved with her, but they ended up talking about fashion. Jezebel didn't leave me out. In the middle of the party, she pulled me into the den. Let your parents stay with the kids tonight and come home with me. I promise you'll be alive when I let you come back tomorrow at 10, but I can't promise you'll be conscious, she said with a grin. That night was unforgettable. Looking into my eyes, she said, I see you as kind, generous, and smart. Why don't you take me to a resort on the 14th for 3 days? We can see if we want something real. I want a man who'll be mine and only mine. Then she closed the door behind me, saying, Go home to your beautiful kids.